Nobody anticipated seeing Mendez Harris being led away in handcuffs. However, that's precisely what left followers in a state of shock and prompted inquiries worldwide. Social media was inundated with reports that said that during what was meant to be a tranquil retreat, the situation got really out of hand. Voices were raised during a furious dispute between Spice and Bambi. Tensions were already high and insults were exchanged. But no one could have foreseen what would happen next. Erica Mena intervened in the midst of all that confusion, and what began as words swiftly escalated into charges that rocked the audience. Videos and other sources that are circulating claim that Erica accused Mendeecees of touching her. Yandy stood close by, looking utterly horrified and powerless as she yelled, "Don't touch me. I'll call the police right now." The incident happened so quickly that police were called, and Mendeecees was apparently taken into custody right away before anyone could comprehend what was occurring. Fans couldn't believe whether something real had happened or if this was just reality TV going too far. We're dissecting everything that has surfaced regarding that evening in today's video, from the first dispute until the police showed up. This one is serious, so take a seat. No one truly anticipated that things would go the other way, like they did. What started out as a tranquil getaway where the cast members would reunite and stayed. And when we unite and work through their problems gradually evolved into something quite else. Everything began so easily. There is a relaxed atmosphere as everyone sits around the table, joking sometimes and teasing each other. However, beneath all of that, a sense of tension was already present. At first, it wasn't noisy. Before Bambi and Spick's talk turned into a full-fledged argument, it was silent and barely noticeable. They were initially making jokes about Jamaican language. Bambi inquired the meaning of a certain term. The second Spice gave the impression that it was about someone's mother, but Spice clarified that it was just laughter. It was personal to Bambi. Very calm but firm, she stated, "It's up if someone treats my mother disrespectfully." Spice also didn't back down. Things really took off after she responded, "Keep it up then, I'm ready." The volume of the words increased. The tone shifted. Around the table, the atmosphere changed. Yandy was sitting on the opposite side, whispering to Erica while attempting to maintain her composure. The cameras are the only reason they do it. Erica, however, was not grinning. When Bambi retorted, she had that expression on her face as if something else was happening inside of her. Discussing real estate, homes, and body operations. Erica chuckled a little. You could tell she wasn't really focused on Bambi and Spice because she wasn't overt or noisy. Her thoughts were elsewhere. Bambi hit Spice with that phrase just when it appeared like things couldn't get any more intense. "You don't have a home, you only have your messed up body." Spice returned the clap. "I'm proud of my scars, at least." Now the entire room was hot. The cameras continued to roll thanks to producers in the back. No one was intervening to prevent it, not quite yet. The two women eventually separated to allow the situation to settle down. For air, people floated outside. Things seemed to be coming to an end. Erica's attention was drawn to Mendeecees, who was standing next to the corner, quietly observing everything with her arms folded. She was drinking by herself, not far away. Erica approached him calmly, without being boisterous. "Oh," she remarked. "Now the perfect couple shows up." Yandy stood beside him, gently tugging his arm. "Lolly, don't even engage," she repeated. However, Erica didn't even hesitate when Mendeecees turned to her and asked, "What are you trying to say?" He clenched his teeth slightly, but his voice remained level as she replied, "You two only show up when the cameras are rolling, in real life. You're just as messy as everybody else." You could see Mendeecees try to keep as cool as possible. When he said, "Erica, not tonight," she wasn't finished, though. At that point, things took a drastic turn when she stated, "You act like you're some stand-up dude. Handle your own house before you talk about anybody else's." She leaned in a bit closer. Mendez stepped forward. A hand reached out to avoid striking her. Not in that sense, but by highlighting, pointing, and moving in a way that made it appear larger than it actually was. Erica's reaction came at that moment. She leaped back as if he had actually tried something, shouting, "Don't even try me. I will call the police right now." Yandy was between them in a matter of seconds, grabbing Mendez by the arm and yanking him back, her voice trembling slightly. "Please don't do this." "Everyone is watching," she said, but everyone's phones were already up. Everywhere you looked, there were cameras. In a matter of minutes, videos appeared on Instagram. The retreat organizers were already on the phone with security as producers attempted to calm everyone down. People were posting things like, "Did Mendez really just lose it? And is Erica playing victim or nah?" Erica continued to do so, loud enough for cameras and everyone else, she said, her eyes sparkling as she stood there. "I'm going to lodge a complaint." He attempted to approach me, and you could hear sirens and distant lights flashing in the background. The whole retreat area fell silent. With their lights bouncing off the walls, police cars arrived, slicing like a dagger through all that tremendous energy. No more tranquil island atmosphere, just frigid, raw tension. Officers emerged and took command. "What happened here?" said calmly, going directly to Erica, who retold her story in a trembling but powerful voice. He approached me. "I was merely protecting myself." While speaking quietly so that not everyone could hear, another officer drew Mendeecees aside. "What happened, sir?" Mendez was asked by the police. "I didn't touch her," I tried to explain. "I simply wanted to get my message out." However, neighboring residents were using their phones to show the police the video. The way he moved up and gestured on the video appeared violent, even though it didn't show him physically touching Erica. The cops decided they had to detain him since it appeared to be terrible enough. Just enough to take him in and work things out away from all the cameras and shouting, but not necessarily an arrest just yet. And the reason behind single quotations was a different matter entirely. She wasn't yelling, but everyone could see it in her eyes, even though she wasn't crying aloud. She appeared broken and utterly powerless. Mendeecees approached one of the officers as they prepared to lead her to the car, her voice low but frantic. "Before you take him, might I please say something to him?" The officer gave her a minute and nodded. There were still people all around. Erica, some gossiping behind her back, others inquiring how she was doing. "I've had enough," she repeated. I'm not going to overlook this, but Yandy was only able to concentrate on Mendez. She approached him, held his hand, and spoke in a low, very tremulous voice. "You assured me that such an incident would never occur again." Mendez gave her a down him as if that were the only thing keeping her together. She kept saying it. Yandy returned to her room and took a seat on the bed's edge. Erica was seated on the balcony, still a few doors down, looking through her personal social media accounts. On her phone, the same clips were shown to her. In the comments, she observed people debating whether she was speaking the truth or lying. There were some harsh messages. A few were helpful. She was no longer crying, but her eyes were still red. She simply appeared worn out, as if the entire ordeal had sapped her remaining vitality. A producer approached her with a cautious, hushed voice. "Tomorrow, Erica, the police will demand a formal statement." "Are you certain that's what you want to do?" Erica made no hesitation at all. "Yes, without a doubt. I can't let this go. Not now." Her voice was decisive. She was not going to back down. Not with everything captured on camera already. The situation only worsened by the following morning. The story quickly gained traction on blogs. One headline after another appears. Following a heated altercation, Mendeecees was taken into custody. As her husband is arrested, Yandy Smith is captured in an emotional moment. According to reality star Mena, she was assaulted. The fans were in full-on research mode. Slow-motion videos were being posted by others in an attempt to demonstrate that Mendeecees did nothing. Others were accusing Erica of setting him up, tagging her and calling her out. Overnight, the entire internet seemed to transform into a courthouse. At last, Yandy picked up her phone. She opened her notes app after scrolling through a few texts. She merely gazed at the blank screen for a while. Then she began typing. Not for the cameras and not for the blogs. It's just her opinion. Wasn't a post, it wasn't for anyone else. It's simply my method of breathing through the insanity, she wrote. How do you keep calm when everything feels like it's crashing down around you? Her phone rang a little while later. The voice on the other end seemed composed, but the news wasn't good. It was Mendeecees' lawyer. The attorney stated they're holding him overnight only till everything is sorted out. Yandy put her hand to her forehead and closed her eyes. She inquired, did they say what the charge is? Right now, it's just a holding situation. Nothing formal, the attorney stated. But because Erica is turning in her report today, things can change. Yandy felt sick to her stomach. She was unable to even get to her feet. News spread quickly. People were already observing Yandy when she left her room, wearing sunglasses to conceal her swollen eyes. She could feel their eyes following her every move, but the crew and other actors were all too courteous to ask her direct questions. One of the producers was waiting at the front desk, so she headed there with her head down. She was served coffee by A. She gave a head shake. She had nothing in mind. She only wanted to know when Mendeecees will be returning home. On the other side, Erica was already up and meeting with the local police officer to make her formal testimony at the resort. That segment was not filmed by cameras. They didn't discuss it. Rumors, however, quickly spread about what she was saying. Things went viral on the internet after someone informed a site that Mendeecees lunged at her, became popular. #Fairness for Erica. Fans of #FreeMendeecees were picking sides as if it were a sport. Yandy eventually spoke up later that afternoon. She didn't go live. A statement was not posted by her. She simply posted a single line of prayer along with a black screen on her Instagram story. It was for clarity in the midst of chaos. No details, no names. However, everyone was aware of its meaning. Mendeecees was still waiting in a holding area for all of this. Only he and his thoughts. No phone, no outside contact. Okay, can I talk to my wife? He repeatedly asked the officers, according to reports, but they consistently gave the same response. Not quite yet. He had lost his anger. Quiet, not shouting. Awaiting a dot. Fans were talking about it non-stop. It was inevitable, according to some. Others claimed it was all orchestrated. Yandy could not have been unaware of this approaching. A fan made a post. No, she wasn't acting. You could see it in her face, said another. Production on the retreat, meanwhile, ceased altogether. Because things had gotten too out of control, the producers sent everyone home early. The journey that was meant to unite people was gone. Everything is even more shattered than it was. On the same balcony where she and Mendeecees had spent a peaceful moment the day before, Yandy sat by herself as the sun began to set that evening. She was left with nothing but the sound of her own heart exploding in the background. It all felt different by the fall of the second night. Mendeecees wasn't the only focus anymore. The whole city was observing. Blogs were now sharing more than simply the incidents. Anything that might be connected to the events between Erica and Mendeecees was being unearthed, including previous interviews and video clips. The old rumors came back. People began to inquire as to whether they had previously experienced tension, things that were overlooked by the cameras and that no one has discussed until today. It was no longer only a moment, it was a complete tale. That night, Yandy hardly slept at all. With her phone in hand, she paced her room for the majority of it. I had no idea why she was updating her feed. She was merely scrolling, observing the constant fluctuations in public opinion without posting or responding to texts. Some admirers were defending Mendeecees in lengthy posts, claiming that he was a family man and had changed his ways. Not everyone was so understanding. People were saying things like, "Once a hothead, always a hothead." Yandy couldn't get it out of her head all night. The following morning, she received another call from Mendeecees' attorney with somewhat better news. The lawyer added, "I'm going to release him today, but there will still be an investigation." Erica's remark caused chaos, and Yandy exhaled, a breath she didn't even know she was holding. "When?" she asked, and the lawyer replied, "Within a few hours. I'll text you as soon as it's official." When Yandy went outside her room again, the energy was frigid. Not the kind of cold you experience in the weather, but even with that small sense of relief. There was no true serenity. A few producers tried to stop her before she left, asking if she wanted to make an on-camera statement, but she shook her head and said nothing. In the meantime, Erica wasn't slowing down. She was already doing private interviews, not for TV yet, but little off-camera sit-downs with blog reporters, people who would pay to hear her side first. In one clip that leaked early, Erica's voice could be heard saying, "This isn't about just me. It's about how women are treated when they stand up for themselves." When someone crosses a line and you say that line went viral, with Instagram pages, gossip websites, and she finally broke the stillness after what seemed like an eternity. "Are you even aware of how awful this looks?" she inquired, sharp but soft voice. Mendeecees didn't raise his head. He simply replied, "Yeah, just said I." Yandy continued, steady but not shouting. "This is different from the past. We now have children. My name cannot appear in a headline like this. Never again." At last, Mendeecees gazed into her weary eyes. "Do you think I'm unaware of that?" he inquired. "Do you believe I desired this?" It seemed, for a moment, that he would start crying. However, he didn't. He simply exhaled slowly and looked away once more. Outside the residence, the paparazzi had begun to assemble. Word had somehow gotten out about their accommodations. Through the windows, flashes were triggered. I looked in the direction of the commotion, but remained motionless. Yandy drew the blinds closer together. "We can't stay here," she said to herself, "not in this manner." It was more than simply getting out of the house. It seemed larger than that. It seems as though there may be no way for them to return to the previous state of affairs. Too much damage has already been done. Yandy sat by herself on the back porch later that evening, browsing through her phone once more. She witnessed everything. Even her own fan pages were divided, as were the blogs and comments. Some argued that she should leave Mendeecees permanently, this time while others supported her. She was no longer even able to identify who was truly on her side. Everything seemed like a cacophony. Then a message from an unidentified number buzzed through her phone. It turned out to be a video. When she opened it, just a video of Erica stepping off to the side and whispering to one of the producers on the night of the incident, no commentary. Yandy leaned in and listened intently as she pressed the volume button. A dot. "Make sure they get my good side." When he walks away, Erica said, "I want the angle right." Her voice was calm and steady as she talked about her camera angle, as if everything that had happened was just another scene in some scripted show. It wasn't about fear or feeling threatened. Yandy sat there for a long time after watching that clip, her phone resting heavy in her hand like it weighed 100 pounds. She played it back to make sure she wasn't hearing anything. But there it was, clear as day. Part of Yandy couldn't believe it. Part of her wasn't even surprised that someone had gotten dirty in this business. But this realization struck her more strongly than anything else. Her first impulse was to get up and show Mendeecees because he needed to see it. He needed to know. But she just sat there frozen, staring out at the dark sky. After sitting in silence for a long time, the night air finally became cold, so she got up and went back inside. Mendeecees was still in the kitchen, in the same place, in the same posture as if he hadn't moved in hours. She walked slowly over, phone in hand, and placed it on the table in front of him. He looked up at her, his eyes tired but interested. "What's that?" Yandy asked in a low voice. "Just watch." And he picked up the phone and hit play. For a moment, the only sound in the kitchen was Erica's voice. But as soon as the words hit him, his face changed, not exactly with anger, but more like something deep inside him breaking open. He listened to the entire thing, then put the phone down carefully, as if it might break if he moved too quickly. "So you believe me now?" Mendeecees asked in a voice that was hardly audible above a whisper. And Yandy sat down beside him to relax instead of responding immediately. "I don't know what to believe anymore," she said, holding her head in her hands and resting her elbows on the table. "But I know this," she said, "maybe not the whole thing, but enough of it." They sat in silence for a long time with no cameras, no producers, and no scripts, just people trying to decide what to do next. Meanwhile, outside of their bubble, the internet continued to spin faster and faster. And within hours, the leaked clip was on the internet. Twitter threads dissected frame-by-frame analysis of the video, with people zooming in on Erica's face, body language, and everything else. Some fans apologized in the comments, saying they had judged too soon, while others doubled down, saying, "It didn't single quotes T ... headlines flipped." People weren't just talking about Mendeecees' detention, they were asking. The entire situation had been set up from the beginning. Didn't matter what Erica said to Kamara. What mattered was how it looked when Mendeecees approached her. No one could agree. It was like watching a war unfold on phone screens. However, Yandy knew that everything would hit her harder once she left that house and returned to public with cameras in her face, press waiting outside, and people asking her questions she didn't want to answer. The following morning, shortly after sunrise, she finally made up her mind, got dressed, and pulled her hair back into a low bun. Mendeecees was still sleeping on the couch, so she didn't wake him up. Instead, she grabbed her phone, put it in her pocket, and went outside. Sure enough, reporters were waiting when she opened the front door. Flashes went off, microphones pointed at her, and people were calling her name. "Yandy, does anyone have an explanation for what happened? Are you and Mendeecees okay? Did Erica set this up?" She didn't respond immediately, instead walking calmly down the stairs with a serious expression on her face. When she got to the bottom, she paused, turned to the cameras, and said, "Listen, this has been one of the hardest weeks of my life," in a steady but clear voice. Not only because of what was captured on video, but also due to what transpired after the cameras stopped recording. Everyone has a different view of the truth. This is all I have to say. I can't unsee what I saw. I can't stop hearing what I heard. Sensing she wasn't reading from a media script, the reporters leaned closer. "This actually happened. Mendeecees and we've experienced too much to be broken by something like this." Regarding Erica, she hesitated for a moment, allowing the name to linger before proceeding. "Was obviously not here, so I just hope she finds whatever component she's looking for. She didn't take any more. Any additional inquiries." Closing the door behind her like a book chapter, she turned and walked directly to the car where she waited for her. Was finally able to breathe again inside the car. Her hands trembled slightly, but not out of terror. After being on edge for too long, the nerves calmed down due to adrenaline. When Mendeecees finally woke up at home, he watched everything happen on his phone. Yandy's statement is being played in clips everywhere. For the first time in days, he cracked a small smile. He sent her a text. "You did good." Simple, no emojis, no extra words. Erica also posted something later that day. A lengthy description beneath a photo of her by herself near the water. Just her with the ocean in the background, without any glamour or cosmetics. Her message added, "I said what I said. Stand on it. Stand on it." Sometimes the truth isn't black and white. Sometimes it's just gray. By the end of the week, production on The Retreat formally announced they would not be airing the full footage of the incident, just selected parts edited carefully. Too much had happened. Too many raw emotions. Too many legal issues involved. Fans were left piecing things together through leaks and rumors. The comments under her post were mixed, with some expressing support and others saying she was exposed. For a while, Yandy and Mendeecees kept quiet, avoiding interviews and social media and spending time with their families. Finally, they shared a straightforward photo of themselves holding hands without a caption. Fans flooded the comments with heart emojis, prayers, and messages like, "I'm glad you all made it through." For Yandy, it didn't matter if some people weren't convinced and some wouldn't be. What mattered was that she had